Tanisha,
I'd
how
like
are
to
you?
welcome each of you to this February 26th, 2019 meeting of the Code Enforcement and Nuisance Board. I'm Randy Deere, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Deere,
Yes.
Simpson, Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
I hope that each of you have had an opportunity to review the January the 22nd minutes. If you have, do we have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the January minutes.
Second.
Dearbone, Thomas, Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder,
Abstain?
Thomas.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I would like to swear in our staff, please. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God? Okay, thank you. One of the things that I was remiss in the last meeting, because when I came in the last meeting, I didn't realize I was going to be sitting in this chair, so it was kind of one of those acute things. But I want to thank our previous chair, Lane Simpson, who did the 2017 and 2018, did a 2-year tour as chair. And Lane, thank you for what you did for this group and also for what you've done for the city of Bowling Greens. Thank you. Okay, are there any announcements? Okay, with that, let's go ahead and move into our hearing agenda. This would be case number 1, NOV or Notice of Violation 18-065-PC, citation 2018-6-PC. This is 2140 River Street. Owners, Autumnstone LLC. Respondent, Edward Hanks. Officer, James Heady. Officer Heady? Heady.
Thank you, gentlemen. On September the 18th, I received a complaint reference to the 2140 River Street. Fun I Go Motors graveled the whole back section of the property, parking, display area, vehicles, and displaying areas back there. On September 19th, I inspected and documented with photos Fun I Go Motors using the gravel as parking for display areas. September 24th, 2018, I completed and sent an NOV, Notice of Violation, via the certified mail. On September 27th, 2018, I spoke with Mr. Eddie Hanks on the phone reference to the Notice of Violation. On October the 2nd, 2018, tracking the certified mail, it showed September the 26th, 2018, notice was left, but no authorized recipient available. Therefore, I printed off another copy and hand-delivered to 2040 River Street for Mr. Hanks at his office, and I hand-delivered to Lisa, the office receptionist. On October 25th, 2018, I re-inspected and documented with photos November 22nd, 2018, I re-inspected and documented with photos. Still, the cars were parked again back on the gravel and wrecked autos, I observed. 2013, 2018, I revised the NOV reference to addressing the parking surface, the gravel removal, paving, and landscaping. On November 14th, 2018, I hand-delivered that NOV, Notice of Violation, to 2040 River Street, Mr. Eddie Hanks' office. Shelley was the office receptionist that day that I hand-delivered it to. On November 28th, 2018, I re-inspected and documented with photos. Appears no improvements. December the 7th, 2018, I hand-delivered the Bowling Green citation to 2040 River Street, Mr. Eddie Hanks' office. Again, office receptionist Shelley received it. December the 20th, 2018, I re-inspected and documented with photos. Appeared there parking wrecked disabled vehicles on the gravel too, along with the other vehicles. February the 1st, 2019, I re-inspected and documented with photos, hand-delivered the Bowling Green citation in reference to the second offense. I spoke with Mr. Hanks and Mr. Chip Ellis, representing the car dealership that day. And I assisted Mr. Hanks with locating and submitting the open records request and zone ordinance via his laptop. And there again, you see the vehicles are still parked on the gravel display area. The motions, recommend one. I'd like to make the motion to uphold the citation and fine amount of $600.
So I need to ask our council, do we make that motion, or do we accept the motion from,
To make the,
the board has to make the motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hanks is here, and he'll have an opportunity to question him or make any statement first.
Thanks, sir. Is Mr. Hanks here? Okay. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Do, yes.
Name, please?
Thank you. My name is Eddie Hanks. I'm a member of Autumnstone LLC. I'm the managing member. Are you ready to hear my side of that? Thank you. So anyway, first of all, I want to say thank you for what you all do and for Bowling Green. I work with many of the people here on the board, or the codes guys, and they're outstanding. So we've had great relationships, and I will tell you that I am the landlord. I am not the manager of IGO Motors. That is a leased property. But I do want to give you just a little history of this leading up to that, because I think Mr. Hetty, forgive me, is added some important points out of that I want you to hear. Number one, September 24th, there was the first notice of violation that was received. It was received by mail, I think is where it came. I do acknowledge getting that. That was at 777 Autumnstone Court, or I picked it up. I don't remember which one I did, but I picked that up. I have that in my hand. I went to the manager, Mr. Chip Ellis of IGO Motors, and I said, Chip, you can't have these parked on the gravel. You have to have cars for sale on the pavement. So I spoke to him. I made a copy for him. He said, I'll take care of that, no problem. So anyway, September 24th, a reinspection on October the 24th, 30 days later. And I presume that had resolved the issue. So no other conversation was ever had. And I will tell you, I am the registered agent for the Secretary of State. I've never received notice of anything from planning zoning in any fashion until he walked in my door on February the 1st or 2nd and personally handed it to me. If you'll remember the names, it was left with Shelley or with Lisa, whom nor agents nor employees of Autumnstone. So I never saw those. You can be assured that if I get something where I'm out of compliance, that I'm very interested in compliance. So anyway, I called Mr. Chip, was the manager of IGO Motors at the time, who met me and Mr. Hetty. We sat in the office and talked about it. And there was some misunderstanding as to what Chip understood as a manager of that First of all, this was the former Browning Oil Company. It was there in 1954. I pulled tanks out somewhere in 1994. It was a bulk plant at one time. So the complete opposite side of that was gravel. This side was not all gravel, but if you'll look at some aerial photos, you can see there were tractor trailers that Mr. Browning had parked off of that. So I don't know what area was gravel, was not, but they moved their business here in 2016, sold over, I think they said over 1,000 cars since they've been there in Bowling Green. So anyway, we did add gravel to that. Again, we had an inspection from codes before, and this one goes back from city codes, in which it talks about the inspector's comments. It said there appears to be, this was 2016 or 17? Do you remember on that? Forgive me one second, I'll find the exact date.
2018, I believe both of those cases were from 2018.
Pardon me?
2018, I believe.
January of 2018. And this was handed to, I think this one went directly to Igo Motors. No, but anyway, and on the bottom of it, it says you cannot park in yards. There were some that were parked in some of the grass. It was their tax season where they get a lot of inventory in. And it says, the parking or storage allowed, you're not allowed to park, obviously in the front or the side of that. But then it goes on to say, note, improved parking surface shall be defined as existing gravel, concrete, brick pavers, or asphalt surfaces generally used for parking motor vehicles. So again, Mr. Ellis and I, as the landlord, assumed that the gravel was adequate parking for representation. So I would ask that, number one, A, I did not receive proper notice, or I would have been, as a registered agent, or I would have been responsive, number one. Number two, I would contend that some of that gravel, I don't know what has been, I wasn't here in 1954, maybe getting close, but anyway, some of that gravel was existing with grass grown through it that was re-gravelled. So I would ask that the two violations that I never received until I was personally handed them in February, post tense, that those be waived, and be assured that I'm interested in compliance.
What kind of timetable would you be operating under in order to get it in compliance?
Well, again, I don't even know. I asked Mr. Hetty how I complied, and he said, well, you just have to read the zoning. So ultimately, I understand that on the first one that was submitted in September 24th, there was one line item. And now when he came back at the end of October, November, there were 3 line items. So it keeps changing. There was an article, one that said general developments parking surface, and then another one that said landscaping, and then another one was commercial use paving. So again, certainly, I don't know what gravel is existing on that. I think we need to look at what's existing, and then certainly if there's paving needed to comply, or we'll pull the cars off. One other photo, if you might flip back through some of those original photos, please. If you'll go to that one, right there. If you'll notice, the cars that are for sale, the owner, and I don't operate that, but he says he has any cars for sale on the paving, is they get cars in for transition that go to their service center or parked off of it, facing away, and if you'll notice in those pictures. But I do not operate the car lot, so I can only tell you what the operator tells me.
So Mr. Ellis still runs the car lot, am I correct?
They're a separate company, yes, sir.
So at any point when these were being, put out there, he never made mention to you, hey, we've gotten more citations or anything like that? He never made you aware of it?
They were never sent to him.
Did they come to the dealership, or did they come to your office
It
directly?
would have come to an office where I'm at.
Okay.
I thought they were hand-delivered to a receptionist or secretary. Isn't that right, Mr. Eddy?
They were.
First one to lease, well, I had it certified mail first, and we spoke on the phone, and he advised that, I believe his wife sent him the photo, but he Googled CCPC and got the number and called. And when I talked to him about the notice of violation, I assumed he had opened it, but
I opened the September 24th one. I did get that, yes. And as I said, I went down to talk to Mr. Ellis.
I got that one returned, so I know the certified mail came back, actually, October 14th.
I got a copy of it from your office or somewhere. I have a copy of that.
Yes, I hand-delivered it to Lisa, the office reception. It's not a real big office, Lisa was the first one, and then it was Shelley the next 2 times that I hand-delivered the NOV and the citation in December. And I don't know what else besides certified mail hand-delivered to an office, other than posting and taking a photo.
Could we get a point of clarification, when he says hand-delivered, is it hand-delivered to the location where the citation?
Yes, was it delivered to where the citation was written or to
It was
Mr. Hank's office?
to Mr. Hank's office, 2040. The citations are for 2140. His office is 2040, just down the road. He, as he said on Secretary of State website, he's the registered agent, and it has his home address, 777 Autumn Court, Bowling Green. That's where the certified mail went. However, with knowledge of his office, that's where I started hand-delivering it to his office at the 2040. So, but if you look at the Secretary of State, it shows the principal office and also the registered agent office, both being at 777 Autumn Court. And if you back up to the, probably the 4th one down, I don't know if you'll be able to know, oh, right there. That was the 77 Autumn Court that I got off the Secretary of State, which registered all the LLCs. But from thereafter, I started hand-delivering it to the 24th.
What would bring this property into compliance? Paving? Would paving bring this into compliance?
So, there's a couple things. So, yes. What is your name? I'm sorry, Ben Peterson, I'm Executive Director of the Planning Commission. So I can speak to the, thank you. So I can speak to kind of the zoning side of things and what is and is not expected of this property. So to come into compliance, there's basically 2 options. Use the paved area, any area for the display or storage or whatever the case may be of vehicles has to be paved or improved as per the part of the zoning ordinance that Mr. Hanks read. So that's one option. Another option is pave the area that you want to use, and then the landscaping and everything else kicks in on that new part. So it's one of those 2 options. I want to go back to 2016 when Mr. Ellis came in and got his dealer's license, where we have to sign off on those dealer's license. And when that happened on September 30th of 2016, when this operation first was applied for, the operator, Mr. Ellis, was explained exactly what had to be done with this location, was explained that if he wanted to expand the use, that he would have to comply with the paving and landscaping, and all of that was attached and noted on this existing dealer's license in 2016. So that's another part of what culminated to today. So I just want to make that point as well.
Cars that you say had been sold there,
1,000, what he told me
you
estimated.
said thousands?
Yes, sir, 1,000.
What kind of business can you run when official-looking mail is delivered to your office and the clerk says, I've been instructed not to accept it, not to sign for it? I don't understand that at all.
Well, the one I think that it was at my personal home is where my registered agent is. And that's my whole basis is from day one, September 24th, until February 1, we're almost 130 days. So there is a time frame there. I can assure you that you can ask several people here. I'm a compliant person. I'm very interested in doing the right thing. And I'm interested in doing the right thing now. So, but when I'm handed 130 days later from initial call, a $900 violation, I don't think that's right either. So I'm willing to do the compliance. I'd ask for the abeyance of that, please. I'll put my dealer on notice that he can only park on the asphalt, and should he choose to put anything in the The gravel area, we'll look at a paving quote. I've already called and asked for 2 quotes on that. So if that's the option for compliance, we certainly will do that.
Sir.
Question. Your office is 2040,
Yes, sir.
and that's where those things were hand-delivered?
They were hand-delivered, yes, 24.
And you say you didn't get a notice. And is that what you're saying?
I don't open the mail at my office, and I have 40 employees and about 5 LLCs. So I'm
Your
not.
office?
I'm in Nashville, and I'm in Bowling
But
Green.
it's your
and-
office?
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? Do we have a motion?
Let me clarify one thing. Are you the owner of the property?
Yes, sir, I am. But
Okay.
I am not the operator of it.
Yes, you're the owner, yes.
Correct.
I'd like to make a motion to uphold the citation and fine in the amount of $600.
Second.
Simpson, Thomas, Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearborn, Wilder,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Okay, case 2. 2019-60 citation 209-1397.2, 236 State Street. Owner Miller and York. Officer Mo Hillard. Mo?
Okay, this case is the result of a roaming inspection that I did on 1/28 of 19. During this inspection, I noted the following violations: a large accumulation of tires and junk in the fenced area there, you can see. On or about 1/31, it was a few days that Mr. Miller called in reference to this notice and said he was using that area to accumulate the tires from all the properties that he and Mr. York own. I explained that I understood why the tires were there. They have quite a few properties, and I know that they do gather them. But it was just time to get rid of them. He said he was waiting for the city to have a tire amnesty. I haven't seen the city have a tire amnesty, but I did call Stan Reagan, and he said they had one a couple years ago, and he doesn't expect they're going to have one for quite a while to come. But, and I told him that. I had no knowledge of a tire amnesty being in the works. It has happened before, but it's been a couple of years, and the city didn't do it, so. He said that when there was an amnesty, he would get rid of the tires. I told him I would need to have a date when the tires were going to be gone. We couldn't just wait around for an amnesty. I told him I could hold off the inspection for a few extra days, but the tires would have to be dealt with. On 2/7 of 19, I re-inspected and found the property remain in violation with no positive changes having been made. Since I had already told Mr. Millard I would give him an extension, I just put the inspection forward to the next Monday in the hopes that he was working on getting those tires dealt with. On 2/12 of 19, I went by the property and saw no changes in the situations. So I parked my vehicle and went into the office to find out when, they planned on having the violation corrected and expecting to give them a further extension if they had a date. As soon as Mr. Miller saw me in the office, he said, "Just give me the citation." So I was, "No, we can work about this, we can talk about it, and figure out how the tires could get taken care of." I let him know I was willing to work with him in regards to how much time he had, but the tires did need to be taken care of. He said he was going to put a screen on the fence so that I could not see the tires, and I told him we would still need to have the knowledge that the violation had been corrected, even if I couldn't see into the yard, because we knew that there was a violation. At that point, Mr. Miller walked away saying, "Just give me the citation." So on that day, same day, 2/12, I posted the citation at the property and sent it first class and certified mail. I hand-delivered into the office the citation. The compliance date listed on the citation was 2/22 of 19. On 2/13, Mr. York called asking me why the citation had been issued. I explained the situation, and he told me I should have waited for him to get to the office, as he would have made sure the property was in compliance. I tried to explain that I tried to work with this business partner, and he had refused to come within compliance, said he wasn't going to do it. Mr. York said he was going to have the property in compliance by the next day. He called me the next day and asked me to come re-inspect, and it was within compliance. When Mr. York told me that he was going to appeal the citation, I explained to him that I'd issued the citation properly. I had tried to work with and told him that I would wait and extend out the time, and I was told repeatedly that he wasn't going to get rid of the tires. So Mr. York said he agreed that I was right to issue the citation, but he was going to try and get it so that the fine would be waived. So that's where I stand at this time.
Mr. Miller? Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Do.
What's your name, please?
Billy Miller.
Okay.
I am Billy Miller of Miller and York. A lot of the things she said is true. We have a few differences. At the time of the citation, I did call and did state that we used that for a storage area from the properties. And I did state that we would screen the properties at that time, or screen the fence. Didn't hear anything back until the actual violation. She come in, was talking to my secretary, and I come around the corner, and the first thing that was said was, "Your screen looks good, I can still see the tires." I said, "It's raining, it's been raining since I've got the screen. I don't have time to put it up in the rain, I'm not gonna do it." After the following day, everything was taken care of, the screen was put up. The sun was shining, it was able to do that. There was not any, "I will work with you." It was basically, "You need it cleaned up now." And I said, "I don't know what else to tell you, you'll just have to find us." And
I've known Mr. York for a long time, and he's, as far as I know, he's always complied readily and quickly when there was something wrong. And I don't understand you refusing what was presented to you. I don't understand that.
I did not refuse. I explained to her that we use it for holding, and even if I did clean it up at the moment in the rain, we would still be using that for holding, so we put the screen up. We had to order the screen that come in, and the next day that it was actually clear, we did put that up and get everything taken care of. This is last year's citations. We do work with everybody in the department to try to take care of everything that we can.
It seemed like you certainly, this lady, this inspector of the city, who's working very diligently and very hard, you're kind of saying that you didn't make her think that you weren't going to do anything. And then Mr. York found out about it, he took care of it like that. Don't understand that.
I don't either. One of us is not telling the whole truth.
Other questions? So so the tires have been moved and the property is in compliance?
Yes, sir. It's, you want to show today's? It is in compliance today.
How long was this case open?
Oh,
16
days? It
15
wasn't very-
days?
16 days.
Okay.
16 days.
I would say 16 or 15 days is pretty short compared to some of the things we've had.
I agree, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that we uphold the citation and waive the fine.
Second.
Thomas, Wilder, Deere,
Yes.
Simpson. Simpson,
No.
Dearbone. Wilder,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Okay. At this time, there's no old business.
Case 3?
Pardon me?
We have a third case.
Oh, third case.
That was in your new packet.
Oh, I see. Never mind.
Okay, case number 3. Case number 2018-6737-1367, Clay Street, owner Miles and Sons Property, Officer Darren Bowen. Mr. Bowen?
All right, this is 1367 Clay Street. Approximately October 2018, we were called to investigate a complaint at Hummingbird Apartments, once again at 1367 Clay Street. To date, there are still issues that need to be addressed that have not been completed. While on the scene, numerous tenants requested that we visit their apartment. While doing so, we uncovered a wide range of issues and code violations. These issues range from, but not limited to, lack of drywall, plumbing issues, electrical problems, water damage, infestations, scattering of garbage, and structural issues. Notices were sent out. A few apartments were considered inhabitable and closed, not to be rented out until cleared through this office. The owner has violated this agreement on 3 separate occasions and rented out apartments that had not been cleared by the Office of Code Enforcement. Throughout the rest of 2018, Code Enforcement made regular stops to check on the progress of said violations to monitor repairs. The majority of the time, they were basically rigged to get by with violations still existing. In January 2019, it was discovered that a drain line in B building was deteriorated, needed to be replaced, and it was identified that 6 of the 8 apartments did not have adequate plumbing necessities. After the owner attempted to make these repairs on his own using unqualified personnel, basically tenants of the complex, the state inspector was notified and Mr. Miles was directed to ensure that a qualified, certified company would make the necessary repairs. Stuart Ritchie was contracted to make the plumbing repair and Mr. Miles would properly pour the concrete to complete the job. To date, it is still not complete. The main line had been repaired and the tenants do have, their facilities are draining properly. However, in Building B, the concrete has not been poured and and it actually goes through an apartment that currently cannot be rented. The adjacent, to date it is still not complete and now Building C has had to endure the same type of repair. The drain has been replaced, however, the open plumbing line is still visible and the apartment is currently in disrepair. The adjacent apartments where the plumbings were made are still not completed. Apartments B3 still has holes in the walls, under the sink, and in the kitchen, allowing air, rodents, bugs to enter, etc., to enter the dwelling. Several apartments are currently infested with bed bugs, roaches, and a recent report of rats was also reported. The health department has also been involved in regards to the current sanitation and infestation issues. Each day there is scattered garbage, trash, debris, and rubbish about the premises. The nuisance caused by illegal activity has created a nuisance within itself. To date, there have been 191 contacts from Bowling Green Police Department to this address, ranging from extra patrol, disturbances, drug tips, burglaries, shots fired, and subjects with a gun. And you can see by the pictures, these are current. This is the flashing on the back of the apartments. Well, that's a hole. Yeah, there's several. But the flashing is in disrepair on many of these, and when it rains, the rain is just coming inside the apartments. You can see this is where air conditioners currently are supposed to be, and there's not proper drainage, so it goes a lot of times inside the walls, and it's deteriorated drywall. And this is actually a good day of what the lot looks like. Recently, I was there, and 6 syringes were actually found on the property, but the vinyl siding is still loose. And that's where we stand today. I cannot give you an exact number. There are approximately 38 apartments. 38 apartments. One is used as an office, one is used to be a laundry facility. And like I said, we had several that were not, supposed to be resided in, and he'd moved people in, when he wasn't supposed to. And, but there's about 30 approximately that are rented.
So a third of those 30-something apartments are inhabited?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Has the city considered perhaps condemning this property?
Sir, I cannot, not to my knowledge, as far as how, with what I know, I can tell you that from the state inspector to everybody that has been over there that has basically said, how is this property still up and going, that if it were anywhere else except from where it's at on Clay Street, that it would already have been taken down. It's in really bad shape.
Said how long?
We have pictures that go back for several years, and you could tell the last couple years it's really went downhill. There has been life skills clients that have been moved because the conditions are so bad. Section 8 clients that have been moved because the conditions are so bad. And it's just a lot of these have been fixed as far as new drywall up, but it's never finished. And my issue to the property owner is, it's fine and dandy to put drywall back up, but until you fix the problem, you're just gonna, the leaks are just gonna come back again. But
Hey, this is what you see in other cities, and someone's got to take charge. If it has to be us to do whatever we have to do, we need to do it.
Mr. Simpson,
That needs to be closed down.
I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I've been to third world countries. I'm retired military, and my first experience here, I stood in the parking lot and could not believe that I was standing in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
I don't think we need to worry about fines. I think we need to worry about getting it closed.
The infestations,
This is a nasty piece of property, and I totally agree with what Mr. Simpson has said. Do we have anybody here that wants to speak towards this property?
I will tell you, Board, that what typically happens with Mr. Miles's property is he'll do just enough to get it in compliance typically. And what happens is his other apartments kind of domino off each other. So you're not seeing all of the apartments that way, but you're seeing the worst of the ones that he does have that we're showing you. And that's why we're using all the avenues possible, health department, us, additional fines, whatever we have to do, because we have condemned 3. He has got those back in compliance, didn't get us approved, and then went ahead and moved clients in at that time. So we've went back and reiterated how that's supposed to work. And he understands that from now on, there is we're shutting them down. So we do shut down particular apartments, and you can't allow people to reside in these, but it's kind of a domino effect. This building he'll get this one just good enough, and then these other ones beside it starts deteriorating, or at least festering. And then, there for a while, no one was wanting to say a whole lot about what was going on as far as the residents goes, and now they are.
well, they were, and now there's some that won't allow us in because they're threatened that they'll be evicted, that if they contact our office. So it's another battle we've been dealing with.
Sure.
So we're working with them as well, trying to get, relocation, suggesting them relocation. We give them landlords to other landlords to actually start seeking to get that going. So some of them have taken that advice, and some of them just don't want to leave. And some of them are not just as bad, not that as bad, but there's no one in this. But it's just different varieties. Depending on which building you go to, what variety what you're going to see of deterioration problems.
Do we know what they charge for rent in these?
Absolutely. I had one tenant, I asked her how much she paid for rent, and she actually told me that she went almost a little over a month without a refrigerator, that she was putting her stuff in the freezer before it thawed. Before it froze solid, she would take it out, and she did this back and forth, and she told me she paid $575 a month for a one-bedroom there. This is, well, never mind.
If it'll help us doing a fine per day, I'll do that, but I certainly hope we can get something else moving.
Yes, sir.
Do we In order to get to the next step, do we need to address this on a per-day basis?
I don't think we can condemn, although I
Right.
don't disagree
Right.
with what you're saying. I think probably if you go to the per-day fine, that is certainly
Initiates?
catalyst to get this thing.
Okay.
That won't take long.
Okay, I make a motion that we implement the, whatever citations are current, and an amount of $100 per day for 59 days.
Second?
How many days?
59.
I'll second that.
Thomas, Simpson, Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone. Yes. Wilder,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Okay, are there any other business before our board? If not, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thomas, Dearbone, Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone, Wilder,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes. Since we're off the record and this is closed, what would be